Hello, everyone. I'm Aashutosh Nema, consultant data science at Dell Technology, where I lead design and development of Gen AI systems at scale. The topic that we are going to cover today is from hype to impact, right? And it's a bit different than the topics that we have covered till now of agentic application. It's more about how do you bring agentic applications to scale or to production, right? Because it's all the hype right now, but getting it to production is what's the difficult task. So starting with the market, right? We have seen we are all live breathing Gen AI evolution day in day out, right? We see models coming in, research coming in almost on a daily basis. It's hard to keep a track of what's going on, and so is for industry, right? Industry struggles with legacy systems, with all of the data problems and all of those things, right? One of the survey that was conducted by Big Fours, right? What that led us to is 95% of the companies and Gen AI leaders are talking about bringing Agentic and Gen AI into the companies, but only if you see on an average, only 20 POCs make it, right? And within those 20 POCs, only 30% of it graduates to production. So what's causing this lag, right? The research further suggested that strategic misalignment is what's causing it, right? So when we think of Gen AI or agentic systems, we think from a shiny perspective, but we fail to miss the mark of is it actually adding the business value or impact, right? Is it actually usable towards the end goal? But regardless of that, wherever that makes a green light or wherever it's able to go to production, you can see that it's a net positive, right? So the path or the goal at the end of agentic system is clear that there is value out of it, but what are the roadblocks and how do we navigate it? So if you see current challenges that are in agentic adoptions, right? There are strategy and operational challenges, which as I stated before, with strategy misalignment, but also with matrix stride flow, right? Currently model, if you have a machine learning model in production, it's being monitored by business day in, day out. There is a KPI attached to it. You cannot miss that mark any day. So those are the business constraints that are in there, right? Companies are struggling with should we build versus buy, right? That's a big discussion going on right now. Everybody thinks, should we do this POC or should we buy it? From a developer and user perspective, as the technology is growing, nobody can call themselves a master of agentic AI at this point, right? We don't even know what's going to come out tomorrow. So there is definitely a skill gap even with the pros. And at the same time, we have legacy systems, legacy data. It's hard to move those bottlenecks sooner at the rate at which the technology is advancing, right? Now, with Gen AI, there is a huge difference between the pilot and production phase, right? As the users are evolving, everybody is using Gen AI, getting used to it, there's a huge gap. So let's say, for example, we tested out a search bar which could go to a product page, like you have it at Amazon, right? Before the reviews, you could just go and search anything related to that product at that product page. We tried doing that and add a fancy Gen AI-enabled name tag to it. With Pilot, it worked very beautifully, right? People were able to search what they needed with their product. But when it went to production, what happened is folks were trying to prompt engineer the search bar. So the expectation is different. When they see Gen AI, people have all of different sort of expectation of what Gen AI can deliver to them, right? So those are the constraints under which agentic AI systems are there, right? And then the cost, latency, and safety and evaluation, these are the bigger challenges that are needed to be solved there. Evaluation is an active research space. These are stochastic processes. We don't know how to evaluate it. We are all used to having a deterministic accuracy number at the end of it, right? So these are different systems. But given all of that, right, how to get started or how to get kickstart with one of that POC that could help you cover the first mile and could deliver value to your business. So start targeted and modular. Take any existing process, break it down piece by piece, figure out friction processes that are existing between the system, right? To those, let's say, I'll start with an example, right? Let's say you have an NLP model where the input is text data and the output is labels that are coming out of it. Think, could the input data be reformed with LLM? Could you pre-process it so that the NLP model can make a better prediction? Could the predicted labels, could they be enhanced or augmented in some sort of manner for the user? Now that starts your LLM workflow, right? When you think of it, you combine this LLM workflow, you add a planner agent to it, you add orchestrator, you add validator, that gives you a task-specific agent. When you combine multiple of these task-specific agents, that's when you get your agentic AI, right? So in terms of thinking from an existing production system perspective, think in terms of block. You start adding block by block. What those blocks will also enable you is think in terms of evaluation when you're adding a block, right? It's hard to think after designing a system of how will I bring in safety? How will I bring in evaluation? All of those things, right? So go from an LLM workflow standpoint to an agentic standpoint. think about augmenting first and automating later. When we think of agentic AI, we quickly think that, okay, this is where we can just replace a human. Uh, we are not at that stage with agentic systems, right? What we need is we need to augment it first, make it easier for a human to use. Once the trust and users perspective builds in, that's when we can start automating it. Iterate fast, but keep safety in mind, right? Also, choose a hybrid model strategy. One model is not going to work for all of those things, right? Choosing a big reasoning model at all places, even for smaller validation, doesn't work. These are the constraint in enterprise environment. We have limited set of models available out there, right? With open source, when we are experimenting at our own pace, that's good. We can pull in any model from Hugging Face and play in. That works. But with enterprises, that's not the case. They're very restrictive in what models are available, how you can scale them, how you can use them. Think from a hybrid model strategy. These are the things you need to. This cannot be retrofitted, right? So these need to be planned ahead when you start with your POCs. Again, the last point, score by impact, not by shine, right? Make sure that those agentic are actually adding business values at this point. And all of the points that I'm covering here, these won't help you build the best agent, but will help you build the most reliable, human-friendly, more of user-friendly, and help you get a business buy-in, right? Once you get that business buy-in, that gives you a momentum to get actual agents to production. So you got started with POC, right? Now what next? How to go to production and what to keep in mind. So when taking any agentic POC to production, right? Think about memory. Memory will play a big role with this agentic systems, right? If you have a lot of agents working throughout your system, you'll need to start off thinking memory as a service layer. It needs to be short, long, episodic, all of those kind of memories, because each agent will be needing its own requirement. Think from a workflow design perspective, right? As I said, it's stochastic processes. So we need to put in strategic, deterministic things in place. It could be a validity check. It could be an LLM. It could be a machine learning model in place, right? All of those things. Think from a term of model fit and mix, right? It doesn't make sense to overkill agentic solutions, right? Although adding a reasoning model won't solve it. If agents are not, if it's not able to do it, it could be replaced with something else for now. And when the models graduate, we can take it to the next level, right? From scaling and enhancement perspective, think of context engineering. Now, this is a bigger challenge. When we work in POCs, we think of, let's say, I'll take an example of few-shot learning. With few-shot, you might have 10 examples in your POC for an agent to perform, right? But in production, that 10 examples, running it every time, will cause latency, will cause more compute. That compute could be used for reasoning or some other purpose, right? So think of context engineering. Could those examples be shortened by run specific, narrowing it down to what's useful, what's not, right? So think from a context engineering standpoint. Think of agent ops. Agent ops is a totally new thing that we need to consider. Classical ML ops was one, but now using E2A standard, MCP standards, all of those things, how your agent is communicating outside, inside, all of those things. Tracking telemetry of the model is again a new thing that's coming out. We need to monitor each tool call, each thing, each step that was executed. It's becoming more and more important to debug the systems, right? Think from knowledge boosters. So all of these LLMs by itself are good at answer generation, right? When we make it agentic, we make them good at decision making. But if you want to make that decision in terms or context of your domain or your enterprise solution, that's when add it with search, and adding a knowledge graph to it gives it a context awareness, right? So think of it as a human brain. How will you think? We have everything mapped out. Till the agents have things mapped out, making them grounded to your enterprise solution is difficult. So this is, like, let's say we talked about how to get a POC running. We talked about what to consider for production. Now, how to make sure that your teams are evolving from POC to POC, right? Because let's say you built an agent today, would be outdated 6 months from now. Will be new LLMs coming out, more capability, more rigor. All of your agent could be just solved by one LLM if we think that way, right? We don't know, and we need to build that strength or resilience in our teams that we keep on evolving from POCs to POCs. Think of internal benchmarking, right? So whenever we develop a POC, make sure that you have your own data set specific, prompt specific, LLM specific, what is the performance. Now where this will help is in terms of productionization, somebody might need to come in and debug that prompt later. Currently we debug the code same way, right? And you might not be there. So who makes sure that why this prompt was written a certain way, because it's all feelings out there. So we need to make sure that there is a structured process of tracking it. What benchmarks was it evaluated on? These necessarily not be external, but your industry domain specific benchmarks, right? Design for reusability, make sure that even though one of the POC that you do fails, there are plugin modules that could be reused to other POCs, right? Like, for example, you might have had a search capability built in. That search could be expanded to other POCs. Think of those manner. If you developed a validator agent, can I pick it and put it in some other agent? Because everybody will be building agents, planner, validator, orchestrator. These are some components that will jump in from agents to agent, right? Think of it from modular perspective. Having a human-centered design, right? Again, we are automating things for humans, not replacing humans. So we need to think from that manner, right? It's more of a co-pilot that agentic systems will bend in. At the same time, thinking the UX, UI from agentic perspective is also needed, right? It's not the traditional clickable UI that we all had. It's more interactive. How do you enhance that UI so it builds trust, right? Let's say an agent is reasoning and going to a step. How do you make sure that those reasoning steps are communicated to the human? So there's a trust built in, so they know, okay, agent thought this, and hence it's went there, right? That's more of, if I would have done it, why would I have done it, right? More of those kind of things. So with that, this is Dell's example, right? That's where all of the learnings that you're seeing are coming from, like Dell's next best action. It's a recommendation engine for troubleshooting that we have in-house for our internal agents, right? It helps to get customer support faster. It recommends them what should be the next action given a customer reaching out, right? It's the same process we had. If you see, we had a ML a model and baseline. We had a matrix tied to it. We identified frictional gaps, rapid experimentation, right? That gave us learning and feel of the system of what LLMs are, what tool calling is, how many tool calls do we need, what is the complexity of tool call we can attempt, right? All of those learnings. Once we had those learnings, we combined those and decided on the experiments that we can go forward, which align strategically with the business, right? It may not be fancy. If a simple summarization solves it, why do you need to build a rack for it, right? So those kind of things. And again, when this POCs graduate to production, we thought of it from both enhancement as well as augmentation perspective, right? Enhancement meaning it could be plugged into the system, but augmentation is, could it be assisting the system further? Could it take to a new journey or new use case for the user, right? With that, we were able to achieve this seamless integration into production. The system is being used by 10,000 plus agents throughout the globe, leading to at least 10% reduction in time for solving each case, as well as reducing repeat dispatches and making the flow more easier. So that covers my talk. Thank you.